Hey, welcome back. Contra-Dictions, episode 39. We got a lot to talk about. We've been away for a little bit, so we're going to talk some debate. We got some Trump versus the China flu. We got the stimulus bill, the Proud Boys, and maybe a little bit of potpourri here and there. This is part one of episode 39. So let's bring in the fellas. Let's see what they got to say. Kenny, how you feeling tonight, boss? Where you at? There he is.
What's up? What's up? What's up? Glad to be here. Glad to be back with you guys. Without getting too personal, Glennon had an unfortunate event happen. So I'm just glad that him and his family's doing okay right now. And glad that we can all three be back here tonight. So
yes, sir. Yes, sir. So let's bring Glenn in. Looking mighty dapper tonight. Straight from work.
Yeah, man. Actually, everything is good. Good. It was an interesting weekend. Just so everybody knows, wife did get into a fender bender over the weekend. She's okay. She's good. The baby, the belly, everything is good. She's just, sore and things like that. So I was just telling them I'm broadcasting from the zoo today. You might see a dog or three walk by, or an 11-year-old with a turtle in her hand, or hell, even a little 1-year-old. You never know. She might have a turtle on her head. So
yes.
Let's get it.
We are starting a little later than what we usually do, so apologize for that. But hey, look, man, we're back at it. We're coming to you with some good stories tonight. So let's jump right into it. Trump-Biden debate number one. What y'all think about that debate?
Go ahead, Glenn.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and kick it off. So it was interesting for sure. I mean, a lot of the news, everybody's been talking about it. Most news outlets have been talking about it by now. I'm actually looking forward to the next debate, which is scheduled for October 15th at this point, because I kind of want to see, after this debate, I want to see what angle Trump is going to take, because after this debate, I think they both there's improvements to be made on both sides for sure. I think Trump was the worst of the two, just because of the way Trump is. Trump is very blunt, so it's like he's like an all-in kind of person. So you're either gonna love him or you're gonna hate him. There are certain things that I do like about Trump. For one, it's prime time. It's entertainment. At the end of the day, that was some entertaining stuff. But I tell you, I think the main takeaway that everybody's going home with is the fact that he had an opportunity to finally clearly denounce white supremacy, and he did not take it. Wallace threw him a total slam dunk, an alley-oop off of a fast break, and he missed it. Now, again, and Kenny saw it. And I know Kenny actually recently posted a video of him denouncing white supremacy, like it was like 30-something times over the past three and a half years, something like that. And he has said it. But like I've said in previous episodes, he's not clear. So even though there was a few instances in that video where he was technically clear, saying, I denounce, the KKK, I denounce white supremacy, like literally, he says that. And, this is like, some years ago, he says that, but then at the same time says, these countries are shithole countries that are, full of black and brown people. He does things like that, and it's very contradictory. And I mean, there's several examples, but I'll just leave you with that. Go ahead, Kenny.
All right. So to get back to the debate, because again, black and brown countries that had nothing to do with it. A shithole country is a shithole country. If I've been to the country, I'm not going to determine whether or not the color of their skin is whether it makes it a shithole. That almost sounds racist to say, oh, it's a shithole country. Oh, because it's got black people in it. It's like, well, it's either a shithole country or it's not. So that's the debate should have been had there. But I digress. So getting back to the debate, first of all, I think Trump won the debate. I do think it was a shit show. I don't think it was very good. And I think Trump's biggest problem in the debate was that most people, the beginning was so abhorrent that nobody watched the second half of the debate. The second half of the debate was much better in terms of people not interrupting each other. I didn't like the format. I thought you cannot, if you're a moderator, your job is to ask a question, not demagogue, and then ask a question. Then the person's got to argue with the way that you said it because you didn't ask a question. You said three statements and then try to throw a question mark on the end of it. And so that was terrible. At the end of the day, the problem, first of all, he wasn't throwing an alley-oop. He was actually throwing the ball behind the backboard, and then they wanted him to dunk it. It didn't make any sense. They were almost there. They wanted to ask, do you condemn white supremacy? But then they knew Trump would just say, of course I do. I've said that a million times. So what they did was they tried to add in, oh, and the militias and these other right-wing groups. And so when Trump said yes, actually, before he even answered the question, before he got done asking the question, will you condemn white supremacy? Yes. And all their white.
Sure. He said, sure.
Right,
Not yet. He said,
sure.
Not
yet.
yet.
Sure. Then he says right wing and white wing groups. And then Biden turns and says, and I did a whole video on this on the King True show. He says, and the Proud Boys are not a racist group. Now, Trump said the next day that he didn't.
There's some that beg to differ out there, and I know we're going to get into that in a little bit.
They beg to differ, but the organization is all you can hold somebody accountable for. First of all, the leader right now is not even white. So the idea that a Hispanic,
he's Hispanic, but he's a Hispanic guy. But that doesn't mean anything. We're actually starting to find out more and more that Hispanics are actually, and not all of them. And I don't want to just Hispanic. No group is a monolith, but there are several Hispanics. We're starting to find out more and more several Hispanics that, and you could be a Trump that. Well, I'm not going to go as far as to say that, but there are several Hispanics like there's this new phenomenon. There's Karens, right? We're actually starting to find out that there's a lot of Spanish people, Spanish women that do these same things. There's a lot of Spanish people that harass black people, that call the police on black people. I don't know if you ever seen a Karen
there's
video.
A lot of black people. You know who calls the police on black people? Black people. A lot of black people.
That's not the same thing that I'm talking about. I'm talking about people calling police on black people for doing absolutely nothing, like for sitting in your car, or going up to a black person and harassing them because you see them at a Mercedes-Benz dealership, and you're actually going there and telling them that they don't belong there and things like that.
My point is that it's going to destroy the narrative because black people do that to other black people all the time.
Never in my life have I seen another black person go up to another black person that's at a high-end luxury place and tell them that they don't belong there, or high-end luxury apartment and tell them that they don't belong there.
Not that way. So when I worked at a car dealership, and I don't know if you've worked at one, I have seen black people go, man, I'm not talking to that person. That person ain't got no money, and it's a black person. I've seen black waiters say, I'm not waiting on that table. So that absolutely black people do that. So I served and bartended for 10 years, and you're absolutely right. That definitely did happen, right? But it wasn't exclusively for black people. If you were a white person and you came in there, you were looking dirty, you were looking bummy. Hey man, you want that table? I ain't taking them. And it was all based on perception. And a lot of times those tables will be the ones with money. So they'd be the ones that tip. So it's not exclusive to black people. No, but that's my whole point. And actually, there's quite a few, if they end up watching the show, that are on my Facebook from the OG that I worked down in South Florida. And they'll tell you, I used to say, well, then give them all to me. Give them all to me. My best tippers were black people because I felt comfortable there. We've talked about that before. So when you feel comfortable, I can get really good tips that way. So I didn't see it that way. But
I just looked at it. Every table was an opportunity.
What I'm saying is that I have seen black people do that specifically for black people. I even heard black people calling them French Canadians, which was a term that they used when they didn't want to take the table. Now, yes, does that mean it was just for black people? No, if they saw a white trash person, they wouldn't want that person either. I had two girls that looked like trash. Well, they ended up being strippers and left me like $100 tip. So I just take tables, treat them the way they want to be treated. All I'm saying is that we can't say, oh, this person's looking over this person's shoulder. And I'm like, dude, there's people do that. And it's not always racist. And I understand that there is some race connotation to it. But if everyone's doing it, then it isn't strictly based on race. And so coming full circle back, and I do believe, now I've been around a lot of Hispanics. A lot of Hispanics do look at black people a certain type of way. They do. They do because they believe, man, I've been through this, and I'm here and I'm working my ass off and they not work. I've heard it and seen it firsthand. And a lot of people on Facebook are also people that have worked with me. Most of those Spanish people that you see are people that have worked with me, and they know that is true. And the only reason I'm pointing this out is because the idea that it's just this one-sided white guy hates these people, and they've tried to lump black people and Hispanics in together brown and black people, and it's like, first of
Yeah,
all,
you can't even do that anymore. You can't even do that because there's way too many Hispanics at these Trump rallies. I've seen way too many Hispanics now carrying Confederate flags. You can't lump them. It's just too much.
I honestly believe now. I at this point I've never seen a Hispanic guy carry a Confederate flag, but I will.
Oh, I just saw a Hispanic carrying a Confederate flag literally at a Proud Boys rally last week.
I just haven't seen it. That's all I'm saying. I haven't seen it. But what I know that Trump's got a huge Cuban following. It's funny because I know somebody on my page who's Cuban is always like, no, we don't like Trump. Yes, your demographic does like Trump.
Yeah, they do. I was going to say, yeah, they do. They like Trump.
Anti-socialist as a whole, not everybody, as a group.
Hold on, I want to clear something up too. I want to clear
agree with the socialistic agenda. That's all.
Well, I want to clear something up too. And look, I'm not the spokesperson for the left by any means. I'm not even on the left. I'm technically a registered Republican. However, all of the left ideology is not socialist ideology.
No, correct.
Like that's correct. We got to be clear about that. We got to be clear about that. And I would say Joe Biden, in particular, Biden does not identify with the socialist ideology. He is not.
Yes, he does because his vice president.
Well, he didn't denounce
a lot of those stances. He has taken far more.
Because that's because Antifa is an ideology, not a group, and it's actually been. I mean, we can go down that rabbit hole, but I mean, Trump's own appointed FBI director just came out and said that it's an ideology. It's not
biggest
now,
that's a blatant lie.
No.
First of all, white supremacists are. So that is
white supremacists are. And Antifa is an ideology. Now he did say that also is dangerous. Antifa is also, an ideology like that is also potentially dangerous, and people identify with that ideology, and that could be potentially how groups like the KKK and things like that start. But as of right now, it's just an ideology, and you can't classify an ideology as terrorist.
To anybody, I mean, look at the mass amounts of.
They're not meeting in organized groups. They're not pulling permits.
And that's so funny. That's exactly.
But white supremacists are.
When you talk about the military,
who's burning down the cities right now? White supremacists.
Antifa is when you look at
what cities are burning down right now outside of California's wildfires.
Well,
I'm saying
they're burning them down.
Chicago, Minnesota.
I mean, and if you're gonna bring up cities like Chicago and Minnesota, then we also.
The wildfires are being set by Antifa members. There's about 10 videos out there. You can Google it and find them right now. People are going in because people are like, how are these things just sprouting up? They go in there. You'll see the group of people leave. There is video footage out there. 100%.
Speculation.
I mean,
it's
live footage.
Because you can't say, look, listen, once again, Antifa is an ideology, man.
White supremacy is an ideology, so there's no race.
Yeah, white supremacy is an ideology. The Proud Boys are a group. The KKK is a group. The Proud Boys were actually were just declared a terrorist group. No, they're not. They're a group. They're a group.
Oh, they're a group. So then you got to read so if they're a group, then you got to follow their manifesto. Their manifesto is anti-racism. So there goes that narrative.
I mean, they're not going to come out and say, hey, I hate Negroes.
Yes, they would.
No, they wouldn't.
The KKK did.
The KKK was stupid, and the KKK originated in the 1800s, where it was totally different, and they had already laid a foundation to where in today's world they can't hide it. The Proud Boys is a 4-year-old organization, and they're not going to come out in today's day and age and just say, "Hey, I don't like blacks."
Proud Boys have a large grouping of minorities. There's nothing about them that's racist. Nothing.
How come? Okay, so literally in all of these Proud Boys videos and all of these Proud Boy videos right now, I don't see not one black person. Like what? If you're talking about Spanish people, then we just had that discussion.
There's a big ass black dude off as hell. I mean, I don't know which one you're looking at. They're definitely there.
I mean, even in the thumbnails, like where are they at? Like. And how come they're always described as far right-wing neo-nationalist group, even by Fox News?
That doesn't make it true. Show me something where where you see a video of a Proud Boy just going and committing a crime.
I know one thing: wherever they're at, violence typically follows.
No, it doesn't.
Including the rally that they were just at last week. They were just at a rally last week, and it was violent. And violence broke out. They made several arrests.
They're a defensive organization, and all the data backs me up. That is just
again, Fred. You keep asking about Antifa. Antifa is an ideology.
I'm not
Antifa's not an ideology. It's a group. It's a group. They just don't want to say they're a group.
Say, Fred, what were you saying?
You can pick which one you want. It's either BLM or Antifa. I'm trying to blame it on Antifa and not BLM.
BLM is a hate group.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I don't agree with anything. I don't agree with anything that has to do with BLM. I mean, we've gone down that rabbit hole. We've done an entire episode on that. They don't have anything to do with men. They did try to change it. They took some things out. They're against the nuclear family
that the Proud Boys have done. I've seen plenty of Antifa and BLM.
Well, here's the thing, Fred.
I've seen plenty of people that the right is trying to say is Antifa, but there's no sort of organization. There's no cohesive plan of structure for Antifa to operate. They're not operating. They're not pulling permits. They're not doing
anything. That's just like people saying the Taliban isn't a military force.
Right.
Yeah.
The Taliban isn't. Even the Proud Boys,
they were not
organized.
They're not a military group. They're not a military group.
Who, the Taliban?
Yeah. They're rebels.
Yeah, they're not like
there's no leadership. There's no manifesto.
They're a militia.
So
they're a militia.
Just because for people to think there's no organization of Antifa, there certainly is. They don't just happen to show up and have pallets of.
They don't have a U-Haul truck filled with weapons.
Man, it doesn't. Again, it doesn't take much for people to get together and organize some pallets with some bricks on it. It really doesn't.
Well, once you organize it, then you're.
And I would like to think that if you are, because let's be honest, the Proud Boys, they're pretty proud that they're the Proud Boys. Stupid ass INFAC, they're proud to be a part of INFAC. The KKK, they're proud to be a part of the KKK. So when you're a part of something, you typically have pride in the group you're representing. There's no pride in Antifa at all. There's nobody.
Yes, there is.
There's nobody like Antifa.
Absolutely. You don't see their mark on everything? That's the same thing with this.
Yeah, the same thing with BLM.
Correct. No argument for me there.
I would actually be happier. I would actually be happier with you guys.
Aren't terrorizing anybody.
Look, I would be happier with you guys referring to whoever you think is Antifa as BLM. Just call them BLM. Just call it BLM, because at least BLM is a cohesive group that can be held accountable. Antifa is an ideology.
There are some
if you were to go arrest somebody,
there are people that are.
If you were to go and arrest somebody from Antifa, where would you start?
Where would you start? What do you mean, with crimes?
I'm saying where would you start? Like, who would be on the top 10 most wanted Antifa list?
Well, you'd have to arrest them. I mean, you'd have to get videos and figure out who they were, just like the FBI would with any other group.
But according to you, there's tons of videos of Antifa doing this and that, and so
there's been lots of them, and a lot of them are starting to get fired from their jobs and stuff. Thank goodness, they're getting arrested. There's been lots of them, and you know how many of them are black? None of the ones I saw. So that's why I don't want to lump them in just with Black Lives Matter, because they're a Marxist organization that believes in anarchy. So they absolutely are a group. They just don't have the structure because they're anti-structure. So that's kind of who they are. Now, the BLM is kind of turning a blind eye, just like it's possible that the Proud Boys at times turn a blind eye to certain racists if they agree with their cause, just like the Taliban turns a blind eye for certain people's cause. But the Proud Boys are there as a defensive protection. They're not going out there causing problems. So the idea that, there's violence. Well, the violence, they started because of Andy No. That's why they first went out to protect, was because Andy No, a gay Korean dude, or Asian, I don't want to get his thing wrong, but he gets beat up by Antifa. So they go and protect him. So they're so racist, they hate gay people, but they want to protect him. He's Korean or Asian, but they want to protect him. Like, the whole racist narrative is bullcrap. If you want to call them chauvinist pigs, if you want to call them Western.
They call themselves chauvinists. They call themselves Western chauvinists.
You want to say that in a negative connotation?
They don't allow women in the group. There's
yep.
you know,
so if you got a problem with that, cool. I don't.
There's a lot of issues with the Proud Boys. Now, I'll be honest with you.
I don't have any.
What I wouldn't expect you to. You're a Trump supporter. And you don't have. It's funny how you know Trump made all of these calls to Christians and to Christianity pretty much in the beginning, stating that, you know, he in so many words, I'm paraphrasing, so many words, said he's the chosen one, and if you have anything to do with Christianity yourself, you would vote for him. But when Biden kind of did that for black people, it was. And I don't agree with either or. I'm just saying, if you got to give.
What I find it ironic is it's perfectly okay for black people to start black organizations, but if guys start a club, then it's what? Like, I just want to make sure we're playing by the same rules, because Democrats are perfectly fine putting everyone into these little groups. And when guys say, hey, we want to celebrate our women in a men's group, because that's what they said, one of their ideals is honoring women. So let's just be clear on what they say they're doing. Now, if they're not doing that, hold them to what they're not doing. But they believe
that's
they're
it. Yes, that is it.
Patriotic, but there's been no evidence to the contrary. I haven't seen any. There's a guy that they try to say was a racist white supremacist. His wife was black. Like, that is just silly. Like, and the whole idea, oh, just because look, dude, at some point, there's got to be some litmus test of going, well, I got a bunch of black friends. I married a black woman. I got half black kids. I only work with black people, but I can still be a racist. Well, then why are we even discussing racism? Like, at some point, there's got to be somebody that is allowed.
What you're starting to touch on right now, because I kind of agree with a little bit of what you're saying and where you're going. What you're starting to touch on is really a totally different conversation, because I agree with actually about half of what you just said. So
I'll take half.
Well, I mean, and we've talked about it before too. Just like with the black community, for example, you know, so quick to say blacks are not a monolith, but the minute a black person has an idea that's slightly different, not even a different viewpoint, just a different vantage point, right? Something that, you know, obviously, you know, for example, you take Jacob Blake, you know, he didn't deserve to be shot 7 times, but he was shot, just to kind of give a quick little example. But if a black person says that, then all of a sudden he's a coon and Uncle Tom and sell out and this and that. So, you know, yeah, absolutely. There's got to be an avenue to where there's bipartisan conversation and everybody on each side feels comfortable speaking their piece. And without being caught. Look, I'll be honest with you. I made one comment on a post yesterday. A buddy of mine, really far to the left, but he had made a post talking about Biden's family and how his first wife was killed in a car accident and things like that, and how it left Hunter, you know, with little bit of brain damage. Things. It wasn't anything. It was just literally telling the story. So somebody had commented on there. Well, Hunter, you know, you can't leave out the fact that Hunter, you know, stole millions or took millions, you know, blah, blah, blah. You guys know the story. All I said was that he allegedly took millions. He's being investigated. The investigation hasn't turned up anything fruitful. There's been no charges found. So as of right now, it's allegations. Like, you can't say allegations are fact. I think everybody can agree with that.
Well, the reason why you can't is because both, like, I mean, there's many times, and we had this discussion last week, where you'll say something as if it's, oh, but we know, as if it's a fact, but it's not a fact. But then when you disagree with it, then it's an allegation. And I've done the same thing before, so I'm not saying that I don't. So that's an everybody issue.
Sure.
So there does need to be some sort of, you know,
and that's fair. But again, had he, and it's still being investigated, but it's been investigated for quite some time right now. Some reports say he took 3.5 million. Other reports say he took 16.5f million. It's very flaky at best.
I don't care what he took.
That's what I'm saying. At the end of the day, he's not running for president, so I think it's irrelevant anyway. Personally,
but
it's not like Joe Biden.
He's got those deals because of his father, though.
Hold on, I'm gonna bring this up because this does matter. Hunter is free game the minute Biden brings his other son up to get credit for the military. If I would have been the first one to say, hey, Trump, that's out of bounds. If you're not bringing,
Trump back in 2016, when they started talking about Don Jr. back in 2016, Trump wasn't having it. So I'm just saying, fair is fair.
Correct. No. You should not bring your child up.
Right.
If you bring your child up, then
the other child is fair game. I get that.
Correct.
I get that.
That's all I'm saying.
It wasn't Biden that brought his child up in 2016, though.
No,
he brought it up. He brought it up in this debate.
Yeah.
And
he brought it up like
be
2
real.
weeks ago.
And here's something that I hope that people pick up from watching this show tonight. When the first debate was going to be a shit show, it's almost like for people that watch the UFC, there's a time where these guys are kept apart and they're running their mouths. They finally get to see each other and they're chomping at the bit. And this moderator it was terribly set up so that there was no rebuttal. There was 2 minutes, and then joint talking time. Well, that's not going to happen. You have a beta male and alpha male. It's not going to work. I mean, you look at the discussion and who was the one that was saying the petty shit? It actually was Biden. You clown. Shut up. I mean,
because Trump knows. Look, this is the thing, and I'm surprised people aren't talking about this. So Biden was actually born, like Biden is a natural stutterer. He's a stutterer. He had a really bad stuttering problem when he was a kid. To people this is not a secret, but he was a stutterer, and a lot of people surprisingly don't know this, but it's public knowledge. And so Trump plays
knowledge.
So for me personally, and look, I'm not 100% sold on Biden either. And I think for most people, it's not an issue of whether you're 100% sold on Trump or 100% sold on Biden. It's an issue of which one can you deal with more, or which one do you think aligns with your moral compass the most, or which one do you think is
going to do better for the country? I mean,
exactly. Which one do you think has more pros for the country than
we can go all day about who said this, who said this. At the end of the day, we just watched one. What was the one thing? What one policy is Biden going to put in place to fix things that he talked about?
Shut this motherfucker down.
So that's a fair question for both sides. Because I know in terms of healthcare, we've had nothing.
It is a little different. The question would be different. So
Trump's had 3.5 years to actually do something. So I think that's
which he's done. So that is the debate.
He's done what? With what?
A whole lot of stuff in the last 3 years.
Oh, we've already covered this, though. We've already gone over what he's done.
He's done a whole bunch of things, a whole litany of things. So those things Trump doesn't have to convince people of. The people who voted for him or the people who are listening.
I think where it gets really foggy is he continuously talks about how much he's done for Black people without talking about like the kind of the nitty gritty. I don't
think so, because I don't think there's Black
people. He's done some things for Black people, but it's come at some cost as well too.
I mean, if we're gonna go into the debate of who's done more for Black people, it's not even close.
It's not even close. I mean,
no. I'm not talking about in terms. Look.
I'm trying to get this point out because I think it's important. All I'm saying is that the debate itself is between Trump saying, "This is what we're doing. This is what I've done." And then Biden has to say, well, this is what I do differently, which is hard because he's got such a long past. And then Trump should have, in my opinion, brought up the platinum plan, which he did not bring up.
He didn't bring up any plans. No, nobody brought up any plans on either side. Correct. So that's what I'm saying.
But it is a little different. The person that it was more important to bring up plans on was Biden, because he's the one that isn't the president. So he's the one whose policies would change. So had
it been a regular debate and had the questions been answered, concisely, I would agree with that. But because
they're never going to be.
For one, there was way too many interruptions. Chris Wallace had no control. I mean, something had needed to be done.
The problem was not the interruptions. That's what I'm trying to tell people. If you watch that and think the problem was interruptions, you don't understand debate. That's not the problem. That was the symptom. The issue, the problem was it was a terrible format. You had no format where they would literally ask Joe Biden a question and there was no rebuttal time. And they would ask Trump a completely different question. That's not how a debate's supposed to go.
That's not how this debate went. It was actually
exactly how it went.
Look, a lot
we
of
don't have
times
enough time tonight.
no.
We can do a whole
Trump
show on the debate.
interrupted Biden over 100 times. Trump interrupted Biden over 100 times. And Biden interrupted Trump too sometimes. Biden interrupted Trump too sometimes. But you can't bring up the fact that he told him to shut up and called him a clown after he's sitting there trying to get out an idea, and Trump won't let the man talk.
Yes, I can.
It's like, bro, would you shut up?
You'd be saying that's unpresidential. You'd be criticizing it. You would never, and neither would any Democrat, allow Trump to call him a clown and not have that be.
Are you kidding? Trump referred to Kamala Harris as Pocahontas. Wait, he called Trump Pocahontas in the beginning of the debate. You just go back and watch it. I'm not even gonna.
Right, I'll bet you a steak dinner here live that he never called Kamala Pocahontas. Steak dinner
on the first debate.
Yeah.
Cyber shit.
Steak dinner. He's talking about Kamala Harris.
Yeah.
And called her Pocahontas.
Yeah.
Yeah, he definitely didn't.
Yeah. You owe me a steak dinner, brother.
No, we're gonna watch it. We'll do a debate on that because it happened exactly like I said it happened. I watched the debate 3 times. It went exactly like he never called Kamala Harris Pocahontas. He referred to Elizabeth Warren as Pocahontas, never Kamala Harris. And it happened exactly like I said. They did not ask the same question to both people. So when Chris Wallace would lie and say, well, you never put up a medical plan, Trump started interrupting him. Why? Because that's not even part of the plan. The plan was, well, what plan are you going to put forward? Well, you're lying before you ask the question. So of course he's going to interrupt you because he's
not lying before he put up the question. He talks about getting rid of Obamacare. He got rid of the mandate, and he's been saying for the past 3 years that he was going to have a health ban to replace it. He never put one forth. When you ask him about it, he can't even tell you about it. He can't even tell you the plan. He's been asked about it plain as day. He can't even articulate what the plan is or where cuts are going to be made to make it effective, or where the finances are going to come from.
The CNN poll, Trump said Trump won 65. I think it was 65 to 35, 65 to 25.
Hold on. What? The CNN won the debate?
Yes.
That he won the debate, the CNN poll?
The CNN poll.
The poll that I just saw, which is kind of crazy.
I'm talking about after the debate. Now people can forget about what the debate happened, like him calling Kamala Pocahontas. You forgetting that that's revisionist history.
I think it's crazy because the poll. And that may make sense because I was talking to my wife about it a little bit before the show, and I was wondering. I was like. The poll that I was looking at was saying it was basically like a 70-30 split. It was like 68, 32 or whatever, saying that they disapprove of Trump's performance at the debate, yet his overall approval, but his overall approval rating is still hanging tight at 39-40%. Like it really hasn't budged. So I thought that was kind of weird.
And that is a different question. And I do agree. If people said, did Trump's disappoint you? Well, yeah, because it's going to be 100% of Democrats, the Republicans who are anti-Trump, and then I would say I'm disappointed in his performance. So the argument at the question for CNN was who won the debate. Now the debate was a shit show. I had both my kids call me and ask me what I thought of it. It was a shit show. Again, I really believe if you had a better moderator and you ask questions and let them rebut. I've been watching these, and again, I told you guys before when we did a breakdown of stuff like a while ago. I watched the old Obama ones. I watched the with Mitt Romney. I even went back and watched the Bush Clinton ones. So when I was going back and
that's how it's done. And look, and like I said, I agree with you, but it can't go. You have to allow people to get out their entire answer, and then you can have a rebuttal. The minute you start answering, that was because Trump was interrupting.
No, it wasn't because of Trump. That is the false narrative.
As soon as Biden. Listen, I watched the debate just like you.
It doesn't matter what you watched. I'm telling you.
As soon as Biden would say something in his statement that Trump didn't like or that Trump may have thought was false, he was interrupting. He was coming in there instead of letting him actually finish.
And again,
Joe Biden did it too, but nowhere near as much as Trump.
Correct.
Nowhere near as much.
Biden was only
Trump should have just shut up and let Biden talk.
Debating two different people. And Trump
and
never
I agree with that too. Trump would have been better off shutting the F up and letting Biden talk.
And he did do
Biden
that.
probably would have hung himself.
2/3 of the debate, just most people turned it off already. But he did do that. But again, he had no rebuttal time. None. That's not how they were doing it. They did 2 minutes, and then it was supposed to be free to talk. And I even have the notes down because I did a whole debate breakdown where Chris Wallace said you have 2 minutes to open speak. And then this is what happened. When they open speak, Trump is masculine, Biden is effeminate, so Biden cowers down, Trump speaks, and then they get into it, and then Chris Wallace would jump in 20 seconds into where he said it was going to be 2 minutes to open speak, and then he was already trying to shut Trump up. That's not what open speak is. That's why you can't have open speak. You have
That's
to have.
That's not what I saw. What I saw was
It's
Trump
not what you saw.
consistently.
It doesn't matter what you
consistently.
saw. That was the format. The format is a known
That
format.
was not the format. The format. No. The format was what you're talking about.
Yes.
Question, rebuttal. Because even in the beginning of the debate, in the beginning of the debate, Chris Wallace said, he said we're going to have 2 minutes.
On that because Glenn, you're just wrong. He literally said,
"You got to do one on that."
2 minutes open speak. It didn't end up happening because
it didn't happen that way. And I think a lot of times, in my opinion, Chris Wallace didn't let Trump rebuttal a lot of times because Trump he rebutted in his interruptions so much that he was like, all right, well,
that wasn't his format. It was a poor format. They had no format for the rebuttal. So that was the first 5 minutes. I think
Chris Wallace was put in a position where he was forced to impromptu the debate because Trump was interrupting so much.
He said it. Glennon, he said it before the debate started, bro. He said it before it started. He said exactly what the format is. No rebuttal time. 0. Watch it. It says it at the very beginning. Chris Wallace comes out and says, you're going to get 2 minutes, you're going to get 2 minutes, and then 2 minutes of open discussion. That's not rebuttal. That's not rebuttal. You could try to throw a rebuttal in there, but it's just going to be back and forth. I knew it was going to be a shit show the minute he described how it was going to work. It was never going to work like that. That's not how any debate has ever been done. The debate is supposed to be, if I'm debating with Glennon, and Glennon, you say my name in your comment, then I get 20 seconds, whatever it is, to rebut, and then you get final rebuttal. And then when I'm speaking, if I say your name, you get a 20 to 30 second rebut, and then I get final say to close out mine. That's, dude, I mean, it was the same one I took in high school. That was not how he said it from the very beginning.
That's classic debate. I don't disagree with you. Again, but we'll never know. It may or may not have went like that. But I feel like because Trump interrupted so much, or because it was really a shit show altogether, they both were interrupting. Trump was interrupting way more, and I feel like Trump actually said a lot more, especially the times where Chris Wallace was asking Biden the questions. I feel like Trump almost spoke more than Biden did.
So are you aware that all in all, Trump spoke for 1 more minute than Biden did? Did you know that?
I'm not surprised.
Okay, so just 1 minute. So for all the people going, and again, I would bet you if you broke it down the first quarter of the thing, I do think a lot of people turn it off. But again, we'll be able to see the next one. I'm looking forward to the next one. I think hopefully the format will be better. You have to give rebuttal time because then you can hold people accountable to say, hey, shut up. You're going to have a chance to say it, but then you can't have somebody go straight for 2 minutes. That's a long time. There was one time where Biden was speaking about a minute and a half. He ran out of shit to say. So then he was just kind of like,
2 minutes. I mean, we do the show, and I mean, sometimes we can, we can.
But if someone asked us a question, sometimes the question doesn't take 2 minutes. So let's go on to the next one. We're going to talk about Trump versus the China flu. And to me, again, I feel like we're going to get in the weeds of this. There's nothing we don't know about the China flu at this point that is going to change anything. I don't think. I mean, people can. I feel like Democrats have already set up, which I'm not saying Republicans don't do this the same way, but they set up an opinion on both sides. So if Trump stays down, well, then they were ready to. There was already people the first day he was down. Oh, he's having serious heart palpitation. He might be gone, or And then it's like he comes out and they're like, nope, came out too soon. I mean, you're just playing both sides of the fence. I think it's a non-story. I really do. I mean, he got it. There's a lot of people get it. Part of me feels like it conspiratory, but I've heard people tell me he got it on purpose. Like, I mean, I've heard people for sympathy. I'm like, who is going to give Trump a sympathetic vote? Who went in there and was like, you know what, on sympathy alone, clicking. I just, to me, I always look at swing voters. This isn't going to gather him any votes. It's not going to cost him any votes. Democrats are going to say this one side. Republicans are going to say, oh, look, he's strong. So I don't have a whole lot on this one. Go ahead, Glenn.
He's strong. Look, man, Trump is 74 years old. I'm sure you probably heard some of the reports as well, too, Kenny, about some of his tweets and things like that he's had to say. And I don't disagree with him. I know a lot of people on the left think that by Trump coming out and saying, you know, don't be afraid of the virus, that in some ways, you know, him, I guess, like not taking the virus seriously or something like that. I don't really agree with that. I think it's an optimistic statement.
Hold on, I gotta say this. Glennon, I thought Glennon might have a problem.
You didn't hear about that on the debate?
What'd you say?
Trump, during the debate, he says Biden wears a mask that covers his whole face. I can't even see him.
That didn't age well. That was about as bad as Obama's joke about Trump will never be president and letting the mic drop.
Yeah, I think Trump doesn't.
Hold on, I do want to say
Trump's
one
not
thing
the best when it comes to impromptu jokes.
No.
I think Biden is a little.
Well,
I don't know. He's good, but I thought Obama is a little more quippy. Obama's more intelligent. He's more
Obama's
quippy.
but I don't know, because Trump was pretty quick on that when he said you don't have many with Trump. You're having these big things, and Biden, you don't have these. You have like a couple people showing up. He's like, because he can't have big. He doesn't have a lot of people want to listen to him or whatever he said. That was pretty funny.
He had some little zingers in there.
There were a couple moments,
and you didn't have a problem with it. I'm glad you didn't, because I'd heard some people as I was listening to CNN today, and they were saying, "Oh, he's saying it's no big. You know, he's saying there's nothing to worry about, and isn't that scare people?" And I said, "No, you know, when I tell my kids to cross the street, I tell them to look both ways, but I don't want them terrified of crossing the street. I don't want them terrified of driving a car, but you can die. Like, there's an appropriate amount of response, but that we accept, we learn about the stuff, and then we move forward. And that's where.
Yeah, it's for sure. And I'm glad you brought that up, because I think the Trump that we're seeing now, after him contracting coronavirus, is the Trump that we should have saw back in February, in my opinion. I think now he's being much more honest. I don't think his administration is being honest. I think the doctors are saying one thing, and then people that are close to him are saying another. I don't think they've been very transparent with how sick he really is. But then again, that's really not. I mean, it's like it is the American people's business, but it's not. I mean, there's still HIPAA violations and things like that. I mean, he still has the right to a certain level of privacy. But
I mean, the truth is that my eyes don't lie. He is not lumbering around. I mean, I watched Joe Biden and Hillary, and he looks better than them when he might not be full health. Wouldn't want to see him jogging. You know, they said he was sucking wind coming up the stairs. When I got over COVID, that was the hardest thing to get over. Was breathing was a little bit harder for me.
I think you could see Trump was gasping a few times for some
but
breath.
Trump's also fat.
Oh,
yeah, he was gasping. He's definitely overweight.
I mean, he had McDonald's quarter pounders with cheese and chicken nuggets and all that shit at the White House for the football team. Remember that shit?
Yeah, I mean, I just think it's a non-story. He's not going to die from this, and he's not going to convince anybody that he's,
He already got out. 72 hours later, that hydrochloroquine works.
Yeah, right.
I mean, he used a lot of therapeutics.
Yeah, bleach works.
Yeah,
but I also think too that I do think that Trump should be careful. One of my main issues that I have with Trump is I just think he doesn't understand the power of his voice as president of the United States.
I think he does, and I'm so glad he handled it the way he did, because there's two sides to the quarter, and you tell people, hey, we're going to beat this. We're going to kick this thing's ass. Let's get people back to work. People believe them. Markets shoot up, and it works. When you go,
well, a lot of people actually didn't believe him, but that wasn't really what he should have been saying. I'm not saying he should have been instilling fear in people. He shouldn't have been instilling fear in people. I think what he's saying right now, you know, he's saying, hey, masks are important. You know, hey, follow the protocols that are set before you.
Masks aren't important.
Yeah, right. He was just
really not.
He was just making fun of. He was just making fun of
2017 that masks don't do shit.
Right, he's making fun of this because the difference is not whether masks work. That's like saying, does looking both ways across the street work? Yes, but you're a fucking moron if you walk out and there's no cars anywhere around you. You're isolated in your own garage, and you're like, when you come out of into your own garage, you look both ways.
But that's not been the case. I mean, Trump has been spotted numerous times. No, he's been spotted. He's been spotted in close quarters with a lot of people from his cabinet and campaign. And sometimes they're tested with the quick test for fire, but a lot of times they're not. That's why his whole staff is getting sick. That's why all of them are getting positive tests.
Right, and none have had any issues.
I mean, I'm not necessarily saying that. All I'm saying
here's
is,
the deal: they get tested all the time. The idea that
the point that I was actually going to make was that Trump should be aware of his rhetoric, because he technically is a bad example, because the average 74-year-old doesn't have the care that Trump has. So the average 74-year-old should be a little more precautious than what Trump is being.
I think the average 74-year-old, I'm going to go ahead and give them the liberty and justice to make their own decisions. And I don't think that they're living on the edge of Donald Trump's words, and you're 74 years old and you decide to go out of your house with no mask on and you get COVID and you die. I mean, I'm sorry that you died, but welcome to the land of stupid. I mean, that's natural selection, brother. Like, my mom is I don't even want to say because there's so much backlash, but she leans right, okay? And guess what? My stepfather's sick, so she hasn't left the house. Like, that's common sense. It is up to a sick person. It is up to a 70-year-old to protect themselves. Trump has always said that. He never said 70-year-olds should be out there joking and lollygagging with no mask on. Trump didn't get it because he didn't not wear a mask. I mean, even if they wear their mask, it's kind of like the same thing I said about what happened on the NBA Live, or NBA or TNT, the post game. They all get up. There's video where they all walk into the studio. None of them have masks on. They're all 2 feet from each other.
And when they get on camera,
and they put their masks on. It's all a farce. And I already read the article.
I mean, I've talked about it in the past as well too. Like, me personally, I don't wear a mask. Right. I haven't gotten sick. Nobody in my family's gotten sick. I would, but no, we're we're not getting sick. I'm just saying the level of care that the president has, most people don't have. So he's a bad example, really, for the average 74-year-old. That's all I'm saying.
For the average 74-year-old, I would agree. Now, whether or not he should be an example to 74-year-olds, I don't think he should be, because Trump works hard as shit, and 74-year-olds should not be working that hard. They'd probably die.
We're taking that much heat.
Yeah,
every day for 24 hours.
Up very late. He eats terribly. I don't know. You know, there's just certain people. You know, me being a sports fan, there's just certain people are just built different. That dude has. You know, I mean, everybody, I mean, I've read it in his books before, but then everybody's came out and says, this dude stays up 20 hours a day and he goes. And just.
I know 50-year-olds that are having massive heart attacks. And
I mean, my dad died of a massive heart attack at 53 and he was in great shape. So Trump's just built different. I do agree that he has not been, if he is the representative for 74-year-olds, he's not been good. But from people like me, if I look up to him and I go, man, that guy grinds. I got to grind. Like, I just think they're.
Of course, I mean, if you're looking at somebody's work ethic, that's something different. I just want to, and then again, in general, this is really a non-story. Trump having the flu. I didn't think he was going to die. I mean, he's the president of the United States. They're going to exhaust every resource to make sure he's straight. So I never thought that he was going to die or anything like that. That's why they took his ass to the hospital off break. They were like, Melania, you stay home. He'll be back. You know, he'll be back. You know what I mean? So
I know I can't be the only person that thought that I would be a great stepfather for little Trump if.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah. If you get Melania as part of the package, right?
I don't care what nobody says. She's the dopest president's wife ever. My gosh, boy, I mean, she probably needs to gain about 15 pounds for me, but she is, man, her power walk is sexy. All right.
Stupid, man.
Go ahead, Fred, lead us into the stimulus bill.
So, yeah, I mean, we've we beat the presidential debate to a pulp. I think we did cover a little bit of the Proud Boys, which we can go back into a little bit later if you guys want to. And then obviously we just talked China flu with Trump. So stimulus bill, I think it passed the House. I don't think it's going to go anywhere in the Senate.
Thank God.
But it did. I mean, we're talking 2 point something trillion, and the president wants like 1.3 or something like that. So you guys tell me.
So let me start on this one, Glennon.
Okay.
First of all, I don't want 1.3. Me and Glennon had an off-camera discussion about this a couple days ago. I am very much for stimulating the economy. I'm very much for giving people stuff that need it. But unfortunately, this money constantly ends up in hands of the very, very rich. Okay? Instead of going through business owners and into people, they give, a couple of shillings to the poor and let them feel good for 20 minutes as they go out and blow it, which they're actually supposed to blow it. I mean, that's what a stimulus check is. And so it's giving people money that's going to mean nothing to them in a short period of time. And that's a little piece. What the little poor guy's getting is a little slice. They're giving all this money you have $225 billion in education funding. Like, when can we admit that our educational system, and I'll say, hey, look, I'm not happy with the job that the Trump's ladies put in there, and I didn't like the job before her. And I think we might have talked about it before. I wanted this thing ripped down and started over. She was not an education person, so I thought maybe we can do this. And she didn't. She just kind of like put some icing on a shit cake. So I don't, and this is 182 billion K to 12. Now, first of all, if 182 billion is going K to 12 and 225, why are we giving 40 billion to higher education? They don't need it.
They don't need it.
Of so much money, like they rape. I hate using that term because they're so derogatory, but they really do cheat people out of money horrifically. We're talking about paying back school loans, and we're going to somehow ship them $45 billion.
It's crazy.
Yeah. And to me, that is a pat on the back. The politicians, both sides, always do this. Funnel money through the colleges. Colleges come out and they'll push this or that. It's crap, man. It's complete crap. You have 120 billion in grants for restaurants. Let's start there. I'm not so against that, right? Restaurants need to be saved right now. Some hotels need to be saved. And I know people are going to be, I can't save Trump. They've taken nothing, which I don't know how they're doing it. They're taking a huge loss, but 75 billion for COVID testing, tracing, and isolation measures. I just want to make sure those numbers are right, because I feel like we can trace it all the way back to what? Like,
right.
If we have the therapeutics, sorry, pal, you're going to probably get it at some point. If you haven't, it's going to run through. And to track it, if you want to find out some stuff so that in the future we can be better at it, okay, 75 billion seems like a high number there. And then we're giving 15 billion to the U.S. Postal Service to make sure that they're solvent. We've talked about that before. To me, I'm so Rand Paul on, actually, it was Rand Paul's daddy, I believe, that was like, let's get rid of the IRS. Let's get rid of the Postal Service. Let's get rid of these federal shit waste baskets. Go ahead, Glenn.
Yeah.
Well, as of today, the stimulus looks like it's not going to happen until after the election. So this is almost a non-story anyways.
Well, let me ask you
I mean, we knew it wasn't going to go anywhere past the House.
Right. So let me ask you this then, Glenn. Do you think this is all just bull? Like, do you think they put this out there just so that they can go, Republicans don't care about you getting any money to the
exactly why they put it out there.
I remember one time. Go ahead.
So I've heard both sides. So I have actually heard that, what you just said. And then I've heard, especially after Trump's announcement today, I heard that a lot of people feel that he's trying to use the stimulus package as leverage for people to vote for him so that they can maybe potentially get a check when he wins, or if he wins.
That wouldn't make any sense, right? Because if Biden won, wouldn't they assume they're getting 2.2 billion?
You would assume that, but
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it really,
that would be the opposite. It almost seems like the opposite. Like Trump's That's not a good look for Trump because he goes, I'm going to hold your funding. And they're like, I'll get more if you don't.
That's what I was saying. Yeah, well, that's kind of what I was saying. But I still think that he should be trying to push if that's what they want to do. If they do want to give a stimulus package, I think they should be trying to push.
Well, this
prior because I know one thing's for sure. And the stimulus isn't to help individuals; it's to help the economy. But I do know a lot of individuals that are having a tough time with this COVID that could really use that money.
Hey, I agree. And again, I wish we'd have just been on live when me and Glennon were talking about this because we went on for about an hour. And I really think we solved most of the problems. And we probably could have done it for like 100 billion, not 2.2 trillion. Now,
we had that talk the other day for about 2 hours, man. It was a good discussion. We talked for like 2 hours the other morning.
And so that some people can just understand. I'm going to give Cliff Notes, and Glennon can jump in if he thinks if I'm saying it inaccurately. But the point is to funnel the money through employers so that employers would get this money only if they use that money to pay the salary of the employee. And if that so essentially the government would be paying for your employees for about a year. And then at that point, you could cut the stimulus down because an employer wants to retain good employees. So you've trained them up now. And again, at any point, you can fire that one. You can hire a new one if you want. But business owners, and people might go, well, then you just get rid of people before you pay them more. No, you wouldn't, because you're not paying them. The government's paying them. Right. And you want business owners, Glenn's business owner, I'm a business owner, you want good employees. And when you get quality work, you don't want them to be gone. So that if they did it that way, the money, remember, let's say that, Fred, you were, which you're not, but let's just say that you were one of the people that started working for me. The government's paying you. Well, you're still paying taxes.
Sure.
So some of that money's automatically going back. If you have child support, now you can pay your child support. If you have bills for your family, you can pay your bills for your family. So the money's still going in, but it's going through the business ownership. And so we're getting something out of it. We're getting training. And then most of us are not just going to let you go once that federal money stops because we're like, oh, shoot, well, and they can even tear it down. It still wouldn't cost $1 trillion. Like,
yeah, that's crazy. And actually what Kenny's talking about, because what a lot of people don't realize is, well, and maybe some people do realize it, but the cost to find and hire a new employee and train them up is so high that once you actually have an employee that's trained, you're going to keep them. You're not going to just fire them. And not only that, because right now, and the argument is that, if you put people on unemployment and incentivizes people to be lazy and incentivizes people to not go back to work, and that's a legitimate argument, and I get it. So if you're doing what Kenny's talking about, what we talked about the other day, off record, which is funneling the money through the employer, then it actually incentivizes people to go back to work. They're going to make money from being productive. Plus, the employer is still going to have their employees being paid for by the government. So it's a win-win all the way around. You have people that are still reaping that benefit or that subsidy, if you will, if you kind of want to look at it that way. You have people that are still reaping that, as well as the economy still going, still being stimulated. People are spending money now because they have it, and businesses are growing. So
you would be able to have less capitalism. People on SNAP. You'd have less people on food stamps and you'd have mass amount of employment increase. So imagine what that would do to the economy. I mean, for anyone in production, you're giving free employment. And again, you're just pushing people and then a lot of times people don't know how to get jobs, right? Now the employers and the employees are both going to be seeking each other because there's an hey, you can hire me for free. And you would pay them a decent salary, decent enough to get them above the poverty line. And then once they become trained, then they'll have a market for themselves, because the problem is a lot of people don't have skills for specific markets. They went to school. They thought I was going to help them. They come out. They're like, I don't know what to do. But once you start doing real estate with Glenn, or once you start doing insurance with me over a year, you're like, oh, yeah, man, I get this. I can do this. And then if you want to leave me, you can leave me. And now I have to pull you back because I want you. So now we're competing for you and your value goes up. You don't have to put a $15 minimum wage because we're going to be fighting over you.
Right.
So
there you go. Yep.
Yeah, I would be severely interested in having that discussion and wish they would bring us back on there for that.
Yeah, you would have employers actually scrambling to try and hire people. They would be trying to scramble to get this money. And then not only that, but so much hiring would be happening, so much growth would be happening that me as an employer or Kenny as an employer, we could cherry pick the good ones. We could actually keep the ones that are catching on quick, the ones that are.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I would be burning through if they were no good. Yeah.
Right. And then you're gonna want to get rid of the good ones to get or get rid of the bad ones to get more good ones in, because you're getting incentivized for each employee that you keep. You want to keep the employees. So it's incentivized all the way around for everybody.
And it'd be good for the employer or employee as well, because let's say I get a job with Glennon and I suck, right? And Glenn lets me go in 3 months, but I know that there's all these other arms out there. Maybe I find something that's better for me. Maybe that wasn't right for me. We always assume that people don't have jobs because they're either stupid or lazy, but maybe they don't know their skill set, right? And so by doing that, maybe they go work with Fred in a government entity or something like that. But again, you could actually probably drop a lot of government employees because the amount of influx in outside businesses would grow. I mean, it's very, it could be interesting. I would love to have a more professional somebody reach out to us and sit down at a round table and go through this idea, because I really like the idea. Now you got to be careful because you don't want to funnel too much through it to the point where they go, oh, well, then we can just run businesses as socialists, because then the government will just take all the power away.
Right. It could actually potentially become a racket as well, too.
Right. Well, that's why, and you can fade it out after 3 years. I mean, you could do something, because again, I just believe it would almost be like a second industrial revolution.
Yeah. I think a lot of growth would happen from it. I think it would be good. And I don't have a background in finance or anything like that. I'm not like a financial analyst, but on the surface, it sounds pretty good. And I think with any new proposal, there's always going to be some holes that need to be filled and things like that. It's not going to be perfect, but that's to be expected. And I think on the surface, it would be a good solution. Growth is what, at the end of the day, is what everybody wants. That's what everybody wants. That's what we as American people want. Jobs would take care of the crisis in Chicago. Jobs would take care of a lot of the issues in the inner city, because a lot of it.
Jobs will. Yep.
Jobs will get rid of. Will take care of a lot. And so I had a thought, but I don't even want to go down that rabbit hole because it's not really. But yeah, I'll say that for another show. We'll be here all night, man. But
part one, I think there's another presidential debate coming up here within the next week or two.
Well, there's tomorrow.
Yeah, October 15th.
I think tomorrow's debate's going to be good. You got two people that tend to be very professional.
Are they still going to go on tomorrow? I thought they were just. I thought they were just going to skip them and go for October 15th.
No, I heard tomorrow's a go. So there's going to be plexiglass in between them. They can sit wherever they want, however far away.
I mean, they were more than 20 feet apart on the last stage, so I mean, this would be fine.
Yeah. Biden didn't get it.
Yeah, they couldn't.
I'm sure they're not going to be blowing each other's breath. Okay.
Right.
Yeah. All right. So who wants to start this wrap up tonight?
I'm going to wrap it up. Okay, go ahead. No, go ahead, Kenny.
Now we're at the impasse.
There you go.
All right, I'll go first. All right, first of all, come on, Heat. All right, down 5 right now, 7:22 left in the third. But back to the show. First of all, thank you guys for watching. We got up to about 10 different views tonight. I encourage you guys, share, subscribe, like. We're glad to be back at this. Look, we love our country. We might have different opinions of who the leader that's going to lead us into the next 4 years is going to be. But at the end of the day, I keep hearing people say vote, and I'm going to take it a different path. I really feel it's very, very important for people to educate yourself on policies that you believe as an American that are going to help. So if you believe in certain policies, find out what those policies are going to do to help you or the people that you're around or the people that you love. I love this country. I'm glad that we have debates. I hope we continue to have debates. I'm glad that Trump is feeling better. If you're out there, wash your hands, wear a mask if you're in close confines with people, respect other people. And I'm just happy to be back, and hopefully we can get this thing going again. I love you guys out there. I really appreciate it. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to shoot out to us and let us know what you think.
Glennon, go for it, brother.
All right. Yes. Again, thank you guys for being with us tonight. Starting to get things back on a regular schedule, regular basis. So, hang in there with us, and, don't hesitate. Shoot us your questions. Go ahead and comment. Send us your emails in. We love getting that stuff. We love reading that stuff, and we love responding. But yeah, we talk a lot about the president, especially during an election year. We talk about the Republican candidate and the Democratic candidate, and we put so much emphasis, so much stock into the presidential debate, into just the presidential race as a whole. And I hate to break it to you guys, fellow Americans, the presidency is not the end all be all. The presidency is not the end all be all. I had to say it twice. And so people keep saying, Black community, get out there and vote. And if you actually look, if you go back to the 50s, to the 60s, historically, we voted. I mean, all the way up until like 88, like our percentage, our voting ratio has pretty much stayed the same. So what has it done? What has it done? Historically, for the past 50, 60 years, Blacks have voted Democrat. There's been improvements for sure, absolutely. But what has it done, right? You have to ask yourselves that. One thing I do want to leave you with is financial literacy is the key, because I'm going to be honest with you. Teaching your kids, teaching your offspring financial literacy, it doesn't matter if it's a Democrat in the office, a Republican in the office, who's president, who's this and that. If they have financial literacy, they're going to be straight no matter who the president is. And with that, thank you guys for being with us, and we will see you next time.
Gotta unmute yourself there, Fred.
I was going to say, you're muted. You're muted.
Hey, so like I was saying, let me repeat myself. Another great show. Thanks for Glennon for coming back out tonight. And we know you had some stuff going on, so appreciate you showing up tonight. Again, looking dapper, making us all look bad.
Yeah, right.
Not that Kenny and I need any more
sexy
help.
Mofos. Sexy mofos. Y'all some sexy mofos.
Yeah. So, but anyway, hey, look, man, another great show. And like both my partners say, hey, look, hey, at the end of the day, Republican, Democrat, it's up to you. I don't think the debates changed anybody's mind, not this first one anyway. If you like Trump, you're probably going to vote Trump. If you like Biden, you're still going to probably vote Biden, because at the end of the day, it was a shit show. Hopefully the moderator and the second one can get them under control, or maybe there'll be a mute button. I don't know what's going to happen, but hopefully it'll be a little better. I think Kenny said it's tomorrow night. So
yes.
It does go through tomorrow night. I mean, maybe we'll have a show Sunday night or Monday night. That seems to be our new time for right now, as long as the winter schedule, because of schools and all that. Maybe in the summer we'll get more shows going again. And if we can, we'll definitely get more shows going, especially if something hot hits the presses or something. But until then, America, we love you guys. Stay safe out there, and we'll see you next time.